here with your college football week 10 opening lines and opinions show. And of course, we do this every week. This week, joined by Ron Romanelli. We gave him the center of attention here. And, Joe Madden with us as well, as always.
Hi.
Joe always asks me.
I just got the notification that we're going live. I love it.
Joe's been with us now over 2 months. She still asks me, is it okay if I use the Pick Dogs logo on stuff? It's like,
just want to make sure, Mitch. I know.
As long as
stop texting me.
As long as it's not quoting me from a show we had to delete or edit out, then I'm fine with it.
I love it.
Well, Ron, week 9 in the books of college football, and you're like me. You're a fan of the game, and I might have a little bit deeper history with the game than you do, but I think you have an appreciation for the game, like I always did. And I just think that what we're seeing now is, we got head coaching vacancies in season, just something that you don't really see too often. You go to a school where you have a head coach that's tied up to a big long-term deal with big money, and you see other coaches out there going by the wayside with big deals. Gary Patterson was one of the highest paid coaches in the country. Of course, Ed Orgeron just signed a deal at LSU, 2 years removed from a national championship.
Yeah.
And, meanwhile, LSU arguably had bigger wins than Mullen has had this year. They've had 2 big wins this season. And I don't think that I don't think Mullen really has. He's had 2 cracks. He had Alabama and Georgia both on the schedule. Even if you lose both those games, you're 6-2, as you figure, right? If you're a Gator, you figure you're 6-2, and you're still competing. Georgia maybe stumble, someone gets injured, maybe sneak into the championship game. If not, you get into a nice New Year's Day game in Tampa or in Orlando, maybe, something like that. Maybe the Gator Bowl. You get into one of these games, but they're looking at Music City or Pilot Pen or one of these games. And
New Era Pinstripe.
Yeah. I mean, they could be looking at one of those games like that and, not against one of the better Big Ten opponents. This could be like someone way down the line, like Indiana. This could this could be a very bad situation. Any rumors that possibly Dan Mullen could be replaced?
I haven't heard any rumors, as of now, but there's definitely been, it's been a rough week. You look at Monday, we usually have a press conference with the coaching staff and the players. But this week, Mullen cut it short. He didn't take many questions. He was asked about recruiting, and he said, we're not worried about recruiting. We're worried about South Carolina. And I saw some of the reporters were getting a little fed up. They said, no, it's week 10 of the season. You can't tell me we're not thinking about recruiting when we're 4-4 and the season's basically over. So, I haven't heard any rumors that he's, I think that the leash is definitely tight. Definitely so for the defensive coordinator, Grantham. I could say I would expect he's gone for sure. But, like you said, one of the highest paid coaches in college football. And I think the biggest thing is when you're looking at how many coaches are coming and going, like Coach O and LSU, you look at, this is the first few seasons of the college football playoff where there's more teams that have a crack at that national championship. Before, you just had the top 2 teams. But now I think a bunch of teams like Florida, LSU, they feel like they should be in that college football playoff every year, or at least, every once in a while. But when you're not playing and you're not competing in that playoff, something needs to change if you're a team like Florida, a team that was winning national championships not even 20 years ago. So, I just think that's we're in the college football playoff era of coaching right now.
Yeah, I think we are. But I think, when you have the athletic budget of a Florida, when you have the athletic budget of an LSU, and you have the talent pool that these schools get, and you just look at any NFL roster, I mean, we see on Sunday, and I know they lost to the Jets, Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase to, and you see, the linebackers from LSU, it's, Adams, on Seattle is their best defensive guy, and Patrick Peterson was, for years, and, it just goes on and on and on. The expectation has to be there. And when you see Kadarius Toney for the Giants, and you see, some of these other, Florida superstars around the NFL, and we see it in Miami too. I mean, we see guys that are, they're hardly used at Miami. And you still, they haven't had a winning team in years. And you see, we consider a winning year. We haven't won in years. And you still see every Monday night, every Sunday night, the U, right? They say it every single time. And it's like, we have, I believe, the best wide receiver in the state, in Charleston Rambo. And it's like, of any of the Florida schools. But, our team 4-4. Anyways, we got a good card. Joe, anything you want to add to this discussion?
No.
Just gonna sit
you
there
guys
and
know
smile?
Way more about those coaches than I do.
Well, maybe we should put you in the middle.
In the middle?
Yeah, maybe we'll put.
No, don't put me in the middle. Then I have to choose a side.
I think we will put you in the middle. Taco Tuesday. Why not?
I like being to the right.
This
left,
way, so when we
left,
start to
whichever
disagree.
way I am.
Well, there's some great games this week, and this is one of those cards that kind of, if you're not a real college football fan, you probably don't like this card. But if you're a real college football fan, you see you see Ole Miss Liberty, you get it. You see, Alabama LSU, you get it. You see, Texas A&M against Auburn, you get it. It's like these are the games, Texas A&M Auburn. I'll say it right now. I'll say it again when we get to the game. Buckle up the chin straps. That's going to be a bruiser. Bruiser.
Oh, is it ever?
What do you think of Jimbo Fisher as a head coach? This guy gets more accolades, more money than anybody. He's won one national championship. It's like, what's up with this guy? You think he's got pictures? Somebody? I don't know.
I think he benefits from a very talented roster, but we'll see. This year, definitely a strange one, but they're ranked 13th right now, so we'll see.
Well, he's a great recruiter. We kind of usually gloss over the weekday games on this show. We cover them on the morning show, so just these. We usually go to the weekend games. You have anything to say about these weeknight action games? Anything jumping off that you don't have a premium pick on that you need to talk about? We'll give you the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't actually have a premium on any of the college games tonight. I usually love Maction, but just these games, they seem like the lines were just spot on. Personally, the play that almost made the cut for me was Toledo laying the points. I just would rather lay around the touchdown. I don't really like laying more than a touchdown. I think Toledo's just the better defensive team. Eastern Michigan kind of plays more of a volatile style. So I worry that Eastern Michigan scores enough to keep this one close, but it just depends on the style of game. If it's a more defensive game, slower pace game, an under kind of game, I like Toledo to cover the spread to probably win by 10 or more. But just a stay away card for me. I think tomorrow's MAC card's a little bit better, and that's where I'm right now.
Yeah, on a side note, and we would kind of just, we are a sports show, and Henry Ruggs DUI with the death. That is a big charge. That's not one that guys skate by on and get the community service on.
When did this happen?
This happened last night.
Oh, wow.
He was I guess under the influence. He got into an accident and the person he hit passed away. And that is 2 to 20 is what he's looking at. And I'm going to guess that's a minimum, that he's going to get. He'll be one of those guys who kind of was always quiet. So he was never really like a big, he wasn't like, it's not like Mike Vick or, something like that. Yeah. It was a little flashier and a little, thing. But I think that Ruggs will probably do the minimum on it and come back into the league at some point. But we just hope that, for the family, of course, and, and for Ruggs itself as someone that's had their own battles throughout their life, I hope he finds his answers for his own life as well. So just a bad story all the way around on that one.
Terrible story.
Horrid. But, not good. But, we're not going to beat him up, Obviously, we don't know the full story. But it doesn't look good. That's for sure. But let's get to go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I just said that's really, really sad to see on all fronts. So my heart goes out to his family and the family of the victim.
So we've got on Saturday, kicks off early, 11:30 a.m. We got Air Force Army, UAB La Tech, Kansas State. Kansas State, of course, got Gary Patterson fired. I told you, Joe, two teams, purple and silver, play each other. Nothing good's going to come out of that. She's starting to learn. She's like, Joe's kind of like, she's more of a pro sports person. So like she's had to sit through a college football season with me so far. So she's really like upped her game. But it's like, I explained to her, like, you got two teams that have the same colors. You want to stay the hell away from that. Yeah. You just want to stay clear. Right. I mean, purple and silver, these are just not supposed to be against each other on the same field. And you see what happens? The coach gets fired. 22 years he's there. He play another purple and silver team. He gets fired. Who knows?
Did he at least get off the field?
Maybe
or did they fire him right there?
I don't think he got bulimia'd, but I think that what they asked him to do was to finish out the season like Coach O is doing at LSU. And he said, no way. I think he's going to land on his feet. I think Patterson's going to land on his feet. There's some good programs out there that are having down runs that would love to have a Gary Patterson.
Oh, yeah.
Like, especially some of those SEC teams. Especially some of those SEC teams.
Right, 22 years. Wow. Ouch. Yeah, that's got to hurt.
Well, he's one of the highest paid coaches in college football as well. Hasn't really had a killer team since like that Andy Dalton team.
Yeah, I think he would have bounced if he wasn't getting paid so much. But I think I like him. I think he'll, like you said, I think he'll find his feet. I think he's gonna land on his feet here, find a nice location, and I think he's still got plenty of coaching career to go.
Well, speaking of teams with similar colors, not the same, we got Nebraska, Ohio State. I'll give Ohio State red and silver on that one. Nebraska, red and white. We got North Carolina and Wake. This is an interesting one, Battle of Tobacco Road going on. There's all different Tobacco Road battles, but this is one of them. And then you've got Memphis against SMU. SMU now a one-loss SMU team. Duke against Pitt. That happens. Miss against Liberty. And then this one is the ugly stick game. Georgia, Missouri, and Minnesota, Illinois, and we'll go to Miami, Georgia Tech. So just all those early slot games, we can kind of just kick them around here. Ron, any of these you want to get started with?
Yeah, I want to mention that La Tech UAB game. You guys know me. I like those smaller conferences, and I really like Skip Holtz as a road dog. He's not great as a road favorite. He's not really great as a home favorite. But as a road dog, Skip Holtz and his La Tech teams have just been money against the spread. And I think this is another spot where they're going to cover. We've already seen them cover as a road dog against Mississippi State and NC State this season. They lost by 1 to Mississippi State, which is looking like a great 1-point loss as the season goes on. They only lost by a touchdown against NC State. And this La Tech team, not the strongest defensively, really not that strong on offense either, but I do like their passing game with Austin Kendall. I think they're going to be able to put up enough points against UAB. So I'm liking that line right now at 13.5. So I'll take La Tech. And I also like Ole Miss laying the points against Liberty. This is a big game for not only the program of Liberty, but Malik Willis, top prospect in the NFL for quarterbacks. Now he gets a national TV stage against, a team that he's probably been dying to face. But I just think this is not as strong a Liberty team as last year. We've already seen them lose to ULM outright. But even past that loss, I just think that there's some holes in that team, especially on the defensive side. And I think Ole Miss is going to be able to run the football, and then Matt Corral will just do the rest. So I think Ole Miss wins by a couple touchdowns.
Joe?
I like that. I have a hard time going against Liberty in this situation because I think it's just a little bit too much points. But Ole Miss definitely is going to win this one. Ohio State versus Nebraska. I really think Ohio State will cover this week. We saw them coming off that non-cover last weekend, and I think they're in for a better game. They just had so many issues in the red zone, but we all saw it coming against Penn State. We knew they were going to struggle against that defense. Nebraska's defense, on the other hand, I don't know. I think they will be able to win and cover on this one, even though it's 14.5 points. And then I'm liking SMU as well over Memphis. I think the Mustangs are going to come out and play a really good game here. So give me SMU as well.
I like Ole Miss to really smack Liberty around. I had Liberty against ULM in that game, and whether you lose by half a point or 35.5, when you look comes to the number, it all pays the same. It counts as a loss, but let's just say some leave a mark and some don't, and that one did. And let's just say I hate them. I hate their guts, and I'm not going to let it slide anytime soon. I'm just not one of those people that's really good at letting it go. So, I don't care. I think Miami slaughters Georgia Tech. I think the Canes have found their answer, and it's TVD at QB. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Jake Garcia is healthy again to play. I'm hoping that he stays with the program. And the way it happens these days is that, you have these hot recruit quarterbacks that you get in. Jake Garcia was one of the highest recruited quarterbacks in the nation last year, and he landed at Miami. He got injured this year. He's a true freshman. They put it to Van Dyke when De'Aaron King was injured. Van Dyke was the guy that they put in because he was the healthy one. And he has been on fire. So Miami has always had the wide receivers. And, I said it on Saturday's show. I said that Rambo is, I've seen, he's not Andre Johnson. He's not Michael Irvin. He's not Reggie Wayne. But he's not bad. This guy is, he was the number one recruited receiver in the nation, 3 years ago by Oklahoma. They got this other guy, so he transferred out to Miami. We got him. He's every bit of that kind of talent. He's an NFL wide receiver all the way. He might not be a first-round pick or the first receiver taken, but he's a second, third-round guy because he's the type of guy who's going to go to the combine, he's going to run a 4.3, and he's going to all of a sudden move into the first round, right? That's the type of guy that he is. Plus, he comes from Miami, which, grows wide receivers on trees, NFL Hall of Fame wide receivers. So should be he's exciting to watch, and having a guy that throws the ball downfield to him fearlessly is great. And it's refreshing to see a quarterback throw a ball when it's 3rd and 7 to throw a ball 14, 15 yards as opposed to 6.
Yeah, Van Dyke's definitely stepped in the role. I'm surprised. He's had a great couple games, so we'll look to see if he can keep it up.
More wins over ranked teams than Ohio State. He has, personally.
Wow.
Ohio State has one win over a ranked team. They beat Penn State as 20th. Miami beat NC State and Pitt back-to-back, both higher ranked than Ohio State's ranked win team game. So there you have it. Plus, I've said it also, Miami should be 6-2. So Illinois, Minnesota, I think this one is really interesting. This is one that I have to say, if you're a fantasy football player, just don't even try to watch this thing. This is like, or if you're not a college football fan, this is not the one to say, oh man, I'll try watching college football, see what's going on. This isn't your game, okay? This is my game, okay? This is not your game. I understand that, okay? What you have here are two fairly inept offenses, which makes the game a lot more fun for me because I like defense. But you got the 11th ranked defense in Minnesota, and then you have an Illinois offense, which is deceptive because, so here's how you can always tell when the defense is better than what you see on the statistics, okay? 82nd in yards allowed, 86th in passing yards allowed, 79th in rushing yards allowed, 52nd in points against. What's the difference between the 18th ranked team in college football? I do this in the NBA in our morning shows. Something I say, what's the difference between the 18th ranked scoring defense and the 52nd ranked scoring defense in college football? 4 points. That's the difference. It's 4 points per game. It's
Crazy.
nothing. It's less than a touchdown. It's 2 safeties. I mean, that's all it is. 2 of them. It's like, but this is also, but
How
when
many,
you,
Mitch?
when you throw this into the equation, right? Here's really the story here, all right? And I love digging in, right? This is the fun stuff for me. This is why I do this, not for the money or the fame and fortune of YouTube. This is why I do this, because I get paid to do this. You look at the offensive statistics here, 123rd in passing. They throw for 144 yards a game. It's like less than Derrick Henry runs 4.5, right? That's what they pass per game. They run about 176 yards a game, and we saw against Penn State they have this running back that can flat out play, right? And they just haven't given him the ball enough. They only score 17 points per game. So what you have is a defense that, despite your offense only scoring less than 18 points a game, which is hideous at the college level, considering how many clocks out and how many players you get. It's 122nd ranked out of 130 total teams. They only allow 23 points per game. This is a defense that's been thoroughly hung out to dry, right? This is a defense that's on the field all day long. There's no way they're going to lose to Minnesota by 15.5 points. There's no chance. No chance. It's like, I mean, how is that even possible? I don't see it. Minnesota scores 28 points per game. The Flexter.
Flexter.
I don't know.
Dr. Fleck.
Like I said, if you're not a college football hardcore fan or Big Ten fan or went to one of these 2 schools, or if you just want to dip your toe in the water with college football, not this one. This is not the game. This is not your game. You missed it. It was Arkansas Ole Miss a couple weeks ago, or Virginia BYU this past weekend. Those were your games. You know, this is not it. This is gonna be, you're gonna say, my God, who watches this? You're gonna see a lot of turnovers.
Yeah.
You're gonna see some sloppy play, and there could be some weather in this one too.
Yeah, I like the under for those reasons.
Heavy to that under for sure.
3-0 final.
He's writing it down.
Let me see.
Yeah.
What do you say? There's weather too? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this.
Now, one that's not going to be like that is Wake and North Carolina. That one's going to be a shootout fest. So for anyone that doesn't like defensive games like offensive games, definitely check that one out.
Yep. You got the most surprising thing about this one is, for me, the Wake, North Carolina, is Wake's defense. While these generally the Air Coryell teams, the wide open offense teams, these are the ones that are usually known for having just porous defenses like Ole Miss, because the other team's playing wide open against them. But actually, Wake Forest only allows less than 24 points per game. So they're bend, don't break. They give up a ton of yards. I mean, let's call it. I mean, we're not going to sit here and say they're the 78 Steelers or something. I mean, they give up yards in bunches. But
just put the ball at the 20.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what they do. But they, very, very tough to get it into the end zone on them. 23.9 points. While North Carolina, it's been their scoring defense that's been their undoing. Allowing almost 31 points a game.
Yeah.
You guys see this one flying over that total? Because that total is so high.
Yeah, I could see it. 48-44.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's a steep total. I gotta have to think about, because I just see North Carolina's offense hasn't been as volatile and potent as it was last year. Like last year it seemed like they just scored at will, but in certain spots, I mean, like Florida State, they only put up 25 points against a bad defense. 22 points against Georgia Tech. They only had 10 against Virginia Tech. So it's like, I mean, they've had some big games. Virginia, they put up almost 60, but man, if in those type of games, if you're taking the over. A fumble at the 1 yard line recovered by the defense is game over, basically. So, it's just a lot of points you got to get there.
Love college football. It's definitely that week, It's like where it's kind of, who knows? How about Nebraska, Ohio State? I know we're still in the 12 o'clock time slot. We're cranking through time, but I don't care. Nebraska 15-point dogs here. The offense is really not that bad, but this is once again one of those situations where it's like their worst offensive category is the worst category to have as your worst offensive category, right? And that's the issue with Nebraska, is that they're good at overall yards, they're good at passing, they're good at rushing. They don't score a lot of points. That is, it's kind of the goal of the game here, right? It's like, how can you, it's everything about this game is even. Like when you go across the board, it's fairly even. Except, and I mean, yeah, Ohio State's got the number one in yards and number one in scoring. I mean, put Akron and Tulsa on Nebraska's schedule and we'll see what their stats look like. But it's the one outlier stat here is the 29 points a game that the Huskers are scoring versus the 47 that Ohio State is scoring.
And then their last two games, they've played each other. Ohio State has won by a huge number. The
game in Columbus was actually a lot closer than what the score would show. I thought on the field that it came down to a couple of big plays that Ohio State was able to convert and get turnovers and things like that, and that was really the difference.
Yeah, it was a close one at halftime. I think it was like a 10-point game.
Yeah.
But, Nebraska, they're only scoring 29 points, and you take away the 52 against Fordham and the 56 against Northwestern, and it's even fewer.
Well, Joe Vaughn said it on the show on Saturday. He's like, Taylor Martinez, the turnover is always at the worst possible time for this guy.
Yeah,
it's
we saw
never,
it in Michigan.
Yeah, it's never like, just on the 40-yard line or something on third down. It's never something like that. It's always in a situation where they really need it most.
Yeah.
So I think that's, part of the problem here for them. Should be fun, though. Should be a fun one.
Will be. It'll be a good game for sure.
Let's move into the next slot. Arizona, they're terrible up against Cal. Got Temple against East Carolina. Got Texas State against that same ULM team. Texas State at 2-6, favored against ULM. You think a little bit of stigma? ULM's been playing pretty well, I think.
Yeah. Their offense is totally revamped.
Yeah, totally different team, right? I mean, that Liberty game, they're feeling it,
Yeah. What happened, Rhett Rodriguez, he was the quarterback, and he hurt his lung or something. He had a punctured lung. They brought in the backup. And, now everything's changed. But Rodriguez, his dad is the offensive coordinator. So I think there was a little favoritism going on there. And now you got Chandler Rogers coming in. He's just dual threat. He's just totally different team. Defense still terrible, though.
Got Rutgers, Wisconsin, West Virginia against Oklahoma State. If there's a team that belongs in the Pac-12 and is not in the Pac-12, it's West Virginia. Cannot figure these guys out for the life of me. Yeah. It's like they almost beat Oklahoma. They lose to Texas Tech, and then they beat Iowa State. I don't know. It's like there is no, this is the one where the YouTube comments, where the people just hammer you. It's like, I can't believe you took this, whatever. Because this team performs exactly the opposite of whatever it looks like on paper. That's pretty much what they do. You got TCU with Jerry Kill is coaching the Frogs now, and this guy can flat out coach too. I don't know, how much influence he had on them before Patterson's departure, but you got to remember Jerry Kill is the guy who coached Minnesota kind of to that next level. He left because of health problems. He kept passing out on the sideline. And he left Minnesota because of the health problems, but now he's back as an assistant at TCU, takes over now as the head coach. And this guy, if he is the head coach or whatever, I mean, he's one of the best head coaches in the country. I mean, he's that good. Slaughtered Michigan for the Little Brown Jug. It's one of the best coaching post-game on-field interviews that you'll ever see. It's like 3 years ago, I was coaching in a stadium with 2,000 people watching, and that was a big crowd for us. It's like, who in the world would have ever thought I'd be here today in this, situation, with his team's going crazy with the jug and, you know, all around him. And like, who would have ever thought? He just like couldn't believe it. He was so humble. Maryland, Penn State. Maryland, their one home loss. They turned the ball over 600 times against Iowa. Other than that, they were my lone loss in college football on Saturday. I had 2 losses on Saturday. I was 7-2 in college football, and one of them was Maryland. I got backdoored. They were up by 10 with 1:10 left to go. Let Indiana complete a deep pass on them in that situation, which should never happen. And then Indiana, you know, punches in the touchdown, no problem. And you know, onside kick, Maryland recovery, game over. They win by 3. I'm laying 5, just sitting there with my pants down, paying out the book on a game I had won.
It's like Maryland walked off the field before that play even started.
Yeah,
crazy.
You need some pliers to twist the knife a little bit.
I just couldn't believe what I saw either.
Yeah, they really.
I saw the end of that one. I don't know what they were doing.
It is Taco
Sorry,
Tuesday.
Mitch.
It's okay. It's always funny because like I'd say 7-2, but it's like this one left a mark. You know.
Yeah.
Like one of those games when you get backdoored, it's like it's always like that. Michigan State against Purdue. This is like the line that you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of looks funny.
Yep.
Michigan coming up, you know, a typical letdown spot. But, you know, we've seen Sparty in these type of spots all season, you know, where they've kind of had these odd lines. The Indiana game had the odd line. You know, even last week against Michigan, it was an odd-looking line. Mm-hmm. And then here they are again with another odd line. Notre Dame takes on Navy. The one that I want to see, Texas A&M against Auburn. Tulsa, Cincinnati. Florida State against NC State. 2 teams that have, I think, beaten down the public the worst of anybody the last 2 weeks. NC State and Florida State. 2 weeks ago, NC State at Miami. Very public-sided loss in that one, outright. And then Florida State, I mean, you're on your own 40-yard line. What's the odds of the other team scoring a touchdown?
Yeah.
What's the probability of that happening?
It's not 0.
Well, it was, I mean, did you see that? It was like they threw the ball backwards. Like, oh, there was a lane there.
The lane was wide open. I don't know.
I didn't have any action on the game, thankfully. But you know what? I will say, those are the games that Bittler always wins. He's always on the right side. He might not be on the right side like when he takes the Jets and they lose by 50, but he's always on the right side of that type of game. Always. And that's kind of his thing, you know?
He's a lucky man.
He is lucky in that regard. We appreciate everyone who's joined us for the show. Of course, we've got Ron Romanelli with us. We're just talking Saturday college football, which is something I've done my whole life. It's fun. I enjoy it.
Your favorite thing to do.
It is one of my favorite things to do.
Oh.
I'm glad I could be here.
Got any thoughts on any of these games? Once again, not anything that's kind of like, going to decide a national championship, but definitely some games that we're going to see maybe some opportunities to make some money, or this could be a light Saturday where, you know, maybe you don't want that many plays because, man, these are the ones, right?
Yeah.
You know, these are the ones. To me, it's like, I think, you know, the obvious is Navy against Notre Dame getting all those points.
Well, you know, to me, I don't want to say it's going to be an upset because I've just been going back and forth with this Tulsa-Cincinnati game. And, you know, this has obviously been an off year for Tulsa, but Cincinnati, they struggled to put away Tulane last week. And, you know, Tulsa's the type of team, if you've watched them this year, I've watched a lot of Tulsa this season. They played very competitive against Oklahoma State on the road. They were in that game against Ohio State. There was a few late scores that made that score look worse than it was, but Tulsa still covered. Tulsa is its own worst enemy. I mean, if you see, they are one of the most penalized teams in the country. They turn the ball over at the worst spots, but this is still a team that has a lot of talent. I think Davis Brin is a good quarterback. I just think he needs to work on the decision-making and, watch the bad throws. I mean, he throws in double coverage way too much. But I like their running back with Brooks, Jamari Brooks. He's a solid guy. Man, if there was a game that Cincinnati could lose in the rest of this regular season, I just think this is it. So I think it's either going to be a very tight game that Tulsa has a shot to win, or it's going to be an absolute blowout that Cincinnati just wins going away, because Tulsa, if it shoots itself in the foot early, it's not going to look back. Just like Navy last week, they gave up. They threw an interception in the end zone, and that was the game. Navy took over. So I think this is either going to be Cincinnati by 40, or Tulsa could be in it by a touchdown. It could be a close game.
We've got the LSU and the USC jobs are still open. There's going to be more than this. The TCU job, which, give or take. And then there's going to be more jobs open too. Luke Fickell, going to get some mention. So it should be interesting. Comes out of that Urban Meyer coaching tree, right, at Ohio State. I believe he's from the Jim Tressel. I think he was a leftover that he was the only guy that Urban Meyer kept out of the Jim Tressel coaching thing. I think the year that Tressel had to sit, or maybe it was when Urban Meyer got suspended. Oh, one of those Ohio State coaches got suspended. Luke Fickell had to step in and took over. Maybe, you know what it was? That's exactly what it was. So Luke Fickell was the defensive coordinator under Tressel. When Tressel had to step down for, Pantsgate or whatever it was, the gold pants, when Terrell Pryor traded his golden pants for tats, he, among other things, right? Then Luke Fickell took over as the head coach. He didn't have a great season, but Urban Meyer retained him on his staff when he took over the job. And then Fickell went back to the defensive coordinator role, which is not something that usually happens. And then Fickell took the job at Cincinnati, the head coaching job eventually, and look what he's done. Once again, another guy at Cincinnati who's done a tremendous job. I don't know. Tulsa's been in against it this season. They played against Oklahoma State. They played them very, very tough. They covered against Ohio State. This is why Ohio State's 5th ranked in the country, even though they lost to Oregon, who's ranked ahead of them with the same record, because they've got that Tulsa win on their resume. So it's it's tough. That and the Akron win. Those are big ones.
Oh yeah.
Any job you can have with my Buckeyes, eh?
I just don't. I don't understand how you have no wins over a top 10 team. The team that beat you is ranked several spots behind you. They have the exact same record as you.
I completely agree.
They beat you at your building. No excuses. It's not like your quarterback was out or anything like that. In fact, their best player was out, who's the best player in the entire country. And
I love when you see people making excuses that C.J. Stroud just wasn't ready for the game, right? He was on the field. He was dressed. He wasn't
ready for the game. What does
exactly
that mean? I can't, it's like, we had a quarterback named Jeff George who played in the NFL for many years. Okay. Oh. We had him. Okay. And he transferred from school he was the highest recruited quarterback, one of the highest rated quarterbacks in the history of high school football. And we got him, right? And it's like, he had the same issue. His helmet didn't fit. Right? His helmet didn't fit. He wasn't ready. His helmet didn't fit. Finally transferred out to Illinois. He never played a game for us because he could never get the helmet to fit. But he transferred to Illinois. He was at Purdue. He was at Illinois, then he's at Miami, he's at Purdue. It's like he's all over the place, and eventually played for the Colts. But,
Quite the issue, helmet not fitting.
He's not ready. They got beat at home. They were missing their best player.
And destroyed, not just beat, destroyed.
Yeah, and so Oregon has the win over a ranked team. It's those guys. Yeah. It's them. They have no win over a top 10 ranked team. They beat Tulsa and Akron out of conference. Then it's Penn State, who's got 3 losses. Indiana, who's 2-6. Man, who have they beat? I understand they play Michigan and Michigan State later on, but they haven't beaten them yet.
Mm-mm. I think Oregon will have another loss by the end of the year, maybe 2.
I don't think so.
I think this week could be one of them.
I don't think so.
We'll see. But, I mean, that loss against Stanford's not a good one.
Yeah, but they have the same record. They beat them head to head. Record. Why do you play the game? That. Why do you play the game? The fact that you beat them head to head, have the same record, that's your cushion. That's your cushion, right? Joe Madden's had enough of you. even the thought of that. Joe's like, are
Sorry.
you done trying to apologize for Ohio State? Are you done trying to make excuses or talking about how Oregon lost to Stanford? So what? You know, they didn't cover against Tulsa. You see the committee saying, you know, they didn't cover against Tulsa. What do you think about the taunting penalty last night? The final minute of the game.
Giants?
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, he didn't even make contact with the defender.
What about this taunting? Like, what about this penalty? What about this thing? It's affecting the outcome of the game.
Yeah, they're cracking down on those.
Why? What are they cracking down? What are the words you can't say? We had this discussion this morning. Joe had a list of them. You should have heard it.
I just
the C word, the F bomb, it's like she had the whole list. I don't know. It's kind of to me, you know, this is what I say. We don't want it anymore, right? Here's how you stop it. You think this would work? The first one is $50,000 fine.
Oof.
The second one, $100,000 fine. And we'll just up it. Every instance, it's not $50,000 each time. The next fine is that amount. So by the time you get to your fourth one at $200,000, you're in $500,000. You think that'll stop it? Yeah. You want to stop it? I got an answer for you. There it is.
I don't think anybody would celebrate.
And we don't pay the price on it. They pay the price, right? We don't pay the price as fans and bettors. They pay the price. I wanted to cash my money line ticket.
I know. That basically put an end to that.
Yeah. No, it was it. Throw it. I wonder what the official sports book of the NFL's position was on the money line there. And I think that, you know, I think that you know, in that scenario, I want to know what he said. I want to know exactly how this transpired, this taunting.
Yeah.
What was that wager, Joe? What was it going to be? 1848 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Like
I put $250 on
$1,800
the money line. It was $12.50-ish back. So
yeah, I had $440 on the money line. It was like $1,800. It was like, you know how much degenerate gambling I could have done with that?
Yeah. Could just
my
thrown
guess
all on
is the
black.
official sports book of the NFL had a lot of money sitting on that money line.
Imagine our Iona tailgate party we could have had with that.
Would have been fun.
We have the hookers and blow emoji. Let's see if
No one's been using that lately. I don't know why.
Maybe we'll have to revamp some of these emojis, freshen them up a little bit.
I like it.
And
What do you guys think of Rice versus Charlotte? I think taking Rice plus the points is a good way to go in this one. I actually think they could win this one outright. I think both these teams, you know, I'm not expecting much point-wise. I think we get it under a game, but Charlotte has their backup quarterback in. They've only scored 11 points in their last 2 games. So I think Rice can keep this tight.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like Rice and the points. Obviously, you know, last week, disappointing with North Texas. That was a bad loss. But I'm not big on the Charlotte defense. Just not good against the run, not good against the pass. And like you said, the backup quarterback, I actually thought was going to find some more playing time than he did this year, James Foster. But he's gotten in there. He's not done well. So, you know, I think Rice could certainly be a live dog. I would lean towards taking the points. What about you, Mitchie Pucks?
I'm going to skip it. I'm going to straight Ruffalo. It's too early in the week for me on that one. Gonna have to skip it. I do have a 16 puck line parlay.
I saw that.
Say that fast, Mitch.
Puck line parlay. 16 puck line parlay.
There you go. You did it.
Double bird
cage.
Double bird cage. Would this be the double bird cage? Tell you would like that. It's Rod's wacky.
He would absolutely love that.
He would. Florida State, NC State, any takers?
Me, I'm a taker. I like Florida State. I just NC State, call me crazy. I'm not a big fan of Devin Leary. I know he's having a really good end of the season so far. He started out not that great against USF, Mississippi State, pretty weak performances. He's gotten better as the season goes on, but this was a team I thought was going to run the ball a lot with Bam Knight, but they really haven't run the ball that well. And Florida State's secondary is pretty good. I mean, the only game I thought that the secondary was exposed badly was against Notre Dame week 1, and they tightened that up. And even though Florida State's had some, woes this year, the secondary held North Carolina to 203 yards. They have an NFL quarterback, Sam Howell. Clemson, they held them under 200, the big prospect in Uiagalelei. So I think Florida State, I think they keep it close, and I think the points are valuable. So I might buy that half point, make it 3.5 so you can get the more than a field goal. But I like the Seminoles at home.
Yeah, I wish I bought that half point in their last game against Clemson because that one killed me losing by that. I agree with you. I think this is one that you probably do buy that half point because hitting that number 3, I don't like at all.
Joe, is that to tell your grandkids about it? Lost last week?
Yeah, it was. It was. It really, really hurt.
That was.
I will remember that one forever.
About it lost for sure.
Yeah,
that's the one. They'll be like,
Clemson finally covered a spread. They're now.
They'll be like 5 years old.
1-8.
Joe will be like watching the game with them and say, "I took this beat on Clemson in 2021."
Clemson team that hadn't covered all season.
It's like,
it could be quite the story.
It's like, yeah, I'd like.
True story.
They'll be like watching like the Nebraska Ohio State game. Be like, oh yeah, who do you like here? Nebraska. Boy, I took a beat on that Clemson Florida State game in 2021. You wouldn't even believe it if I told you.
They're gonna be like, yeah, we heard it 500 times already.
Yeah, my wife's grandfather was one of the all-time great channel changers. He had the remote in his hand, and it constantly was on the up arrow. It was continuously on there. And he would sit there like this with his hand on the remote arrow. And the channels would just flip through. And he would say, as he would talk to you, as he's doing it, there's nothing on. Right? And be like, yeah, because you haven't stopped for 1 second to even see, what was on. So he would do that. But his bad beat story was really one of the best. He actually was the starting quarterback at Ohio State University, and he played in the game against Notre Dame, where they were beating Notre Dame. It was undefeated, and it was a long time ago at Ohio State. This is when Jesse Owens was at Ohio State.
Oh, wow.
And Notre Dame had like this tall wide receiver. He was like 6'10". They threw it up in the end zone, and the guy just and pulled it down and beat them on the last play. And he told that story every single time I ever saw him. I mean, it lived with him till the day he died. He's buried in his Buckeye jacket. His Letterman jacket. It's like, yeah, it sat with him forever. So these games do leave a mark. No doubt about it.
That's where when people say teams don't have revenge, yeah, they do. Yeah, they remember those losses.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Arkansas, Mississippi State. This one's another one you can figure these teams out. Arkansas definitely a comeback year. Mississippi State's quietly had a nice year, too. That win over Kentucky was pretty big. Traffic, a little sick of the college football. He's had it.
If we were talking NFL, like it's just like when the TV's on, he will not watch college football, just NFL. It's really actually weird.
I think Sam's at the beach.
Oh, nice.
Sam and Carrie are at the beach. Go to the next slot. UCF Tulane, Florida Atlantic Marshall, Alabama LSU, New Mexico UNLV. That should be a good one. Tennessee, Kentucky, Northwestern against Iowa, Boise, Fresno, Oregon State, Colorado, Texas, Iowa State. Sarkisian could go to 4-5 on the season. As a matter of fact, I'd pretty much be willing to wager that he will. Michigan, Indiana. Has there been a more overrated 2-6 team than this year's Indiana Hoosiers? They have played everyone. I'll give them that. But it's like, why do they continually get primetime slots, against teams? I guess it's the teams they're trying to show off. We got Washington against Oregon. Romanelli likes Washington in this one. No chance. South Carolina, Florida at Columbia. South Florida, Houston. Louisville against Clemson. USC, Arizona State. Nevada against San Jose State. UTEP, UTSA. How about this? 6-2 versus 8-0.
Yep. 16th ranked team.
And then the Aztecs are in town, taking on the Rainbow Warriors in the degenerate time slot. Yeah, we have 4 degenerate games on Saturday. Nevada, San Jose State, that's a true degenerate game. UTEP, UTSA, a true degenerate game. Then you got Arizona State, USC, which is not as degenerate. And then the Hawaii, San Diego State, that is degenerates only. Anything in these late games, Ron? Michigan, Indiana for you, maybe some Iowa, Northwestern. Alabama, LSU, 28.5 at Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pass on those, but I got to go back to that Oregon game. I got to talk about it. I think, Oregon, Mitch likes them. I don't. I think they're a fraud. I think the Pac-12 is the type of conference where just the teams take out each other. I think that's the reason why we don't see them in the college football playoffs. It's not that they're bad teams, but I think they're just the competition's tight, and you see a lot of upsets. You see a lot of teams lose to teams you wouldn't expect. Washington was a team that was projected really big things in the Pac-12 this year. I mean, projected to go as far as you could say Pac-12 championship. And it's just been a totally disappointing year, but they're still sitting at 4-4. And this is basically their Super Bowl at home against an Oregon team that still has a lot to play for, even with that loss at Stanford. I really like the way Washington looked last week. Defensively, this is a very good Washington team. They've held already 3 out of the last 4 games. They've held their opponents under 300 yards. Their secondary is very, very stacked. Offensive line plays well. I just think that this is going to be a close game. I'd expect the public to be on Oregon, so I think I would wait a little bit. I already see this game. It went from 6.5 to 7 in favor of Oregon. I'd wait a little bit, see if you can get 7.5. But I like Washington at home. I think they're a live home dog. I really like the Huskies.
I don't see it.
Yeah, either do I. I really don't. I think when we look at this Washington team, their last, 4 or 5 games they've won, just within a couple of points, right? It's been very, very. I think that our will beat them by a touchdown in this one. I think they are the scary thing that they're spread as a favorite.
Joe was freezing up during most of that, but she did have a very concerned look on her face in the freeze. So we can just all we can say is that I think she said Oregon blowout layup.
I did. That's exactly what I said.
So Washington has won their last 2 games. Both of them were on the road. Now they return back to Husky Stadium where they haven't been all that unbeatable. And they did beat Stanford, though, 20-13 last time out. So if you do go by they beat you and we beat them, well, then this should be, this is a no-brainer.
Easy.
This is not a matter.
Money line.
I love the they beat. I never use the we beat them and they beat you unless it works in my favor. I never let it the other way. I always say it's a totally different matchup, right? But if it's in my favor, trying to prove my point, then it's valid. Matter of fact, it's fact.
That's how we see Arkansas State beating Oklahoma last year.
Yep. That's exactly how it happens.
Took down Kansas State. Kansas State took down Oklahoma. Arkansas State beats Oklahoma.
So basically, if Washington beats Oregon, it's imagine what Montana would have done to them.
Don't sleep on the Grizzlies.
They're good.
No, they're not, but that's okay.
I had one of the I played poker one time in Vegas, and the guy had the national championship ring from Montana football. They were good for a long time. and I was playing poker with him, and I wasn't even looking at the cards, and I was just betting, and he was getting so mad. It was like he was just getting so mad that I refused to play it as a game of skill. I would only play it as a game of luck, and normally I play it as a game of skill, but just let's just say he made a few trips to the ATM. Anyways, so yeah, we've gone through pretty much the entire card here, and of course we'll have plenty more college football. Ron will be with us on Saturday. He'll be on the drive-through tomorrow. I'll be on tomorrow as well. Got 2 college football games tomorrow. I don't know if he'll be talking about either of those, but Western Michigan against Central Michigan, a little bit of a rivalry there, and Kent State, Northern Illinois. Don't sleep on Northern Illinois. They're not bad. Not bad at all. Anything going on in the World Series? You got a premium pick tonight, or?
I don't have a premium on it. It's been a tough one to read for me. I lean Atlanta tonight, but the fan in me hopes that the Braves can take it or the Astros take it, and we go to Game 7, because there's nothing better than Game 7. So, but I think Atlanta gets the job done.
All right, Joe. Anything else to add here?
I hope the Astros get the win tonight. I really do. I'd love to see the Astros win the World Series. So that's where I'm going with that one. I don't have a premium pick on it or anything. I'm just going to enjoy it as a fan tonight.
It's definitely been a great World Series to watch.
It has been.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I look forward to this week of college football as always. Like I said, not the card where you see like, oh, that giant big game. Normally it's Alabama LSU. This year it just didn't make it, you know. They always play on Breeders' Cup Day. Always. Which is an odd thing. The year that LSU got that win against them and lost to them in the national championship, I was at the Breeders' Cup.
Oh, really?
Yep. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Joe's going to have her list of her latest taunts. Joe Madden's going to read off her 10 taunts that got her ejected from an NFL football game. Of course, she was in Section E, Row 31 when that happened, but it's still ejected for taunting. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. Have a great day, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Ron, it's been great. We hope to have you back again anytime.
I will be back.
The door is open. The water's warm. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to everyone who tuned in. Smash the like button, and like I said, over 2 million views last year, and just on our Pick Dogs YouTube channel alone. We appreciate all you guys for every one of those. So have a great day.